Welcome back to Mind Over Media. Today is April 26th, and it is officially Alien Day. There was a lot going on with Alien Day today, and a lot going on in the franchise. So we're not just celebrating the franchise, we're going to tell you all the things that have been happening with the franchise. There's a lot to dissect. The Alien franchise is evolving again, not just in its lore, but kind of how its audience is reacting to certain things. So we're going to talk about some stuff. So let me get my little list here of the things we're going to discuss today. We're going to discuss Alien Earth and how it adds to the mythos, the future hinted at in Alien Isolation 2, the Xenomorph not as an animal, but as something more. And I'll explain that a little bit later. The backlash and the misreadings, it's terrible. The cultural noise it's pretty bad. And yes, even the collectibles and market and what it says about the fandom. I am Mav. I have been watching Alien since I was 9 years old. I'm a super fan to some extent. I love the franchise. I love the lore. I love evolving lore, but as mythology does, it's supposed to change over time. So I love everything about it. And yeah, that's me.
I did not watch the Alien movie when it first came out, but I did watch it in the 80s, I think.
Yeah.
I was at the drive-in theater when the Forbidden Alien versus Predator came out.
Yeah.
But I was asleep in the back of the vehicle, so.
I want to make it clear. I don't hate the Alien versus Predator lore. I'm not like, oh my God, there's a new thing. I just don't like the Predators. That's it. Oh, yeah.
So, and also I just in general a scholar, so I like studying. So this is our podcast where we talk about some of our favorite fandoms.
All right. So we're going to start with our first segment, which is on Alien Earth. Forgive me, I have some notes here because I want to really get into the thick of it. Because I feel like Alien Earth is where the franchise actually takes a pivot from what we know of the show Aliens. So everyone kind of has aliens in their heads, Sigourney Weaver, and all of the different chapters that she's had in her theatrical presence. And then Alien Earth comes along and just shatters all that. It just says, I don't care about you old fans. We're going to introduce new stuff anyway. And oh my goodness, it just flipped the fandom on its head. And so Alien Earth is set in 2120, which takes place 2 years before the Nostromo and Ripley. So it's the moment that people think of as the first contact, kind of. But if we go back, Prometheus takes place in 2093 and Covenant follows with 2104. So the films have already had like an established narrative at this point because they've introduced the engineers, they've introduced biomanipulation of the xenomorph, and most importantly, they've introduced creation as a process. So by the time we reach 2120 and Alien Earth, we no longer are at the beginning of anything. We're kind of in the middle of the franchise. And that changes how we interpret everything that is to follow. So if Prometheus shows us kind of what the blueprint was for creating the xenomorph and how that all went along, and Covenant shows the experimentation of how the different xenomorphs came to be. If we remember in Covenant, my favorite scene of all time was when the protomorph comes running out of the ship and he jumps in the air as they're taking off and he lands on the ship and it's like a famous poster and he's just drooling and he's just savage. But that's like one of my favorite scenes. So if Covenant shows all that, then Alien Earth is showing us the proximity of the alien to humans and Earth and humanity. So
Okay, my turn to talk. And by the way, you have to, if there is any dog noises left in the final edit of this video, sorry, our dogs are obnoxious. Anytime we talk, they want to talk too. So I get to talk about this section because I'm wearing a shirt, so I get to be.
She's wearing a Prodigy Corp shirt. We'll get into that.
Yeah.
What Prodigy
I like
Corp
Prodigy Corp because it has a teddy bear. Anyway, so what's unique about Alien Earth? I mean, it's a really cool story. If you haven't seen it, you should watch it. But what's unique about it is I guess one of the new, it has a lot of new additions, but one of the new additions is that what we learn is that while people are traveling to LV 426 to go and check out the derelict ship,
derelict ship.
what we didn't know before is that there's already aliens established on Earth. Now, I know that's a big spoiler if you haven't seen Alien Earth, but it's literally called Alien Earth. So
Right.
I hope that you would understand that there's going to be an alien on Earth. It takes away this idea that the aliens are a brand new discovery, that in fact, the Weyland Yutani Corporation, I always knew about it. So not always, but with at least 2 years prior knowledge about it. So we understand that the people who are in the know on the Nostromo, right? Ash already knew that these aliens existed. He wasn't there to be curious and
Right.
doing curious experiments. He was there to get more, essentially. So anyway, so by 2021, they're not curious explorers and they're not naive to the actual horrors and danger of the xenomorphs, which she'll talk about in a little bit. And instead, we understand that the Weyland Yutani Corporation has a mission to find it, study it, and weaponize it. And that is purely their mission. So even if, I guess there's a disagreement, Prometheus and Covenant exist in the same continuity, then it's not unreasonable to suggest that fragments of that knowledge have already filtered back. So, it's Dr. Shaw, she's off traveling, and then her story ends. But I guess what I'm trying to say is it doesn't end without consequences. It doesn't end without sharing that information. What Alien Earth brings is an understanding that the Weyland Yutani was not, at this point in time, they didn't win the franchise wars. What we find out is that there's more than one company at this point. It's not that's your copy. It's not a franchise. I mean, it's not the overarching company that provides materials and resources and owns everything at this point. There's actually other companies. And so what we discover is that Prodigy Corp is another major company in the player of, the race to alien technology. And so Prodigy Corp is an entity that focuses really on trying to create AI, artificial intelligence, and robots that are almost undetectable in terms of their humanity. So it's actually trying to infuse humanity into these robots. And so Alien Earth is essentially a story about these humanoid bots that have personalities infused into them, making it almost indistinguishable that they're humans. Although there's something a little bit off about each of the robots. So various things are off about them. But for the most part, anyone notices that they're very childlike, they're very naive, and they're very overly friendly, or in some cases very scared. So that is Prodigy Corp. So what we discover is that in the affect, or after the opening part of Alien Earth, that Weyland Yutani, or that Weyland at least, and the Prodigy Corp is now in a race to be the first to harbor this technology and harbor these aliens and take control over them is really the most part. So to be able to make them do what they want them to do. Even though it's weird to me because their focus isn't aliens, their focus is the robots. So I feel like he's just being greedy, but at the same time, why not? If you are boy genius and you've been running shit since you were 6.
Yeah.
So when the object of this pursuit is something like the xenomorph, the first doesn't mean discovery because they've already discovered it. They already know. In this case, it means control. They're trying to get control over the xenomorph, or as we eventually come to understand it, the illusion of control. Because honestly, so far in all of the series, we understand that the alien cannot be controlled.
Yeah, so now we're going to switch gears a little bit and talk about the xenomorph itself, because this is where Alien Earth begins to challenge long-held assumptions. Before, we thought of the xenomorph as instinctual, parasitic. It's just a biological creature. We talked about it as the perfect organism. And when it comes to Alien Earth, they take it out of the military framing for it because that was a little bit incomplete. We first see its adaptability in Alien Isolation, which is a video game. And then in Covenant, it kind of behaves with selective engagement, like it picks and chooses who it's going to engage with, which creates different creatures. Like I think the Neomorph came out of Covenant, and there was one other one that came out of Covenant due to the goo. Anyway, so we start to see these different levels of evolution of the Xenomorph until we get to Alien Earth, and we see interpretation. It's more than an animal. It actually thinks. It has thoughts and opinions about what you do to it. It has feelings about you putting it in captivity. It has feelings about you kind of like fluffing your chest at it. It's like, oh, you want to challenge me? Let me out of this cage. I'll get you too. It can communicate. It recognizes repeat behavior. So there is a harkening back to Alien Resurrection, in which there's a scene where the scientist, he's freezing the Xenomorph, he's pushing this button, and it puts ice on the Xenomorph, and the Xenomorph watches him repeatedly push the button. And so he fights, kills an alien, burns, a hole in the ground, comes out on the other side where the scientist is, looks at the button, puts the scientist is now where the Xenomorph was, and the Xenomorph pushes the button and does his victory scream because he's figured out how to do this repeat behavior. And it adjusts its behavior based on outcomes. So that, again, that's if you look at Resurrection, when they're in a firing line, they're shooting it, and they keep shooting the Xenomorph, and then all of a sudden a new Xenomorph comes in and they shoot, and it starts dodging the bullets because it's already recognized that you're going to do this thing. And so it can differentiate between a threat, something that has utility, or something that's irrelevant. It doesn't have a whole lot of emotions, and it sure doesn't have morality. And so on Alien Earth, we start to see, as Wendy is able to talk to it, that it has a process. It's not just killing for biological necessity. It's killing for feelings. When it is released, it says, oh, you locked me up, you locked me up, and you locked me up. And it kills in the order of the people that are kind of taunting it or keeping it in captivity. So we see it as a creature that can think and interpret, whereas they didn't have that so much in the prior aliens.
So the next subject that we're going to talk about is the Alien Isolation 2 video game drop, which I guess was recently announced.
Yes, so today for Alien Day, Creative Assembly surprised everyone, and they dropped a teaser trailer, and the trailer starts off with, this door opens, and there's this world where there's rain, and it's kind of in disarray. It's a little dystopian, and you're just kind of like, okay, what's going on? And then it like hones in on this like red light, and then it's that familiar deep, deep, deep that you hear in Alien Isolation. And you're like, what the heck, And then the light turns green, which is the save point that you can do. But anybody that's played Alien Isolation knows that when you get to that little save box, putting the card in and pushing yes for save doesn't mean that you're safe. It means that, potentially could be injured or killed. And so it's one of the most respected games that's out there for the Alien franchise, because it drove you on fear and anxiety, and it didn't apologize for it. One of the things that you can kind of deduce from the teaser trailer is that we're not in space anymore. So if you guys remember when you're playing Alien Isolation, at the end, Amanda's, she faces off with the Xenomorph, and if she goes out of the airlock, she goes out the airlock, and the Xenomorph goes with her, and we don't know what happens to her. My son, when I was playing it, he tells me, she wasn't tethered. What happened to Amanda? I'm like, I really don't know. And that's the end of the game. And so now we may find out that she was picked up or taken to a planet. The implications are everywhere, because in space there's like places to roam, there's places to go, but on the planet you're trapped with the Xenomorph. So that is going to be a very interesting game.
I think we should move on to our next segment.
Right, so our next segment is on Alien Romulus and the missed implications. So let me start this off by saying, when Alien Romulus first came out, Fede Alvarez had a huge hill to climb, because all the, it's got to be, tree to lore people were like, we're watching you. If it's not exactly like Aliens, Alien 3, Alien 4, Prometheus, if it's not like those, you just suck. And he was like, I'm going to make my own movie, and there's literally nothing you can do about it. And so it was kind of funny, like, how's this going to come about? What's going to happen? And the reception was mixed. Some people were like, oh my God, that's reintroducing aliens. And then there was people that were like, oh my God, this is so dumb and so weird. And here we have Rain trying to be Ripley. And I'm like, this is a whole different story. This has nothing to do necessarily with Ripley, but it's in Ripley's world.
Ripley is busy flying.
They're
flying by.
Right. The shuttle is docked on the Renaissance because they took Ripley from space and they got her, and that's why Big Chap, the one that she shot out the airlock, he's hanging in Romulus. They reeled him in, and they reeled in Ripley's ship. So now we know Romulus is between alien and aliens. But this is not a Ripley story. This is a story of Rain. This has nothing to do with Ripley. This is about a miner and her friends that wanted to get some fuel from the Renaissance and encountered a whole plethora of facehuggers, and ultimately will create a xenomorph. Did you feel like Rain had a big opening?
The issue that they had with Romulus,
Big opening scene, I don't.
the issue that they had with Romulus was that it was a show about teenagers. And what did teenagers have to add to the show?
Well, they were a cast.
Save young people
Yeah.
who were slaves.
Yeah, they were slave young people. They were minors that couldn't get out of their workload.
Quite literally, this has actually happened in the United States
Yeah.
and beyond, in the whole world, in which we enslave teenagers. This is called trafficking nowadays.
Yeah. And then the next upsetting thing, of course, was the mangle this word, hybridization of the human child that I forget the little girl's name that she was carrying, mixed with she took the goo shot and she gave birth to what they call the offspring now. And people are like, oh my God, it's so stupid. But they missed something huge. One of the things that they missed is the structure of the offspring was the engineer structure. And other parts of the offspring was the xenomorph structure. Why is this even important? Because it's showing you when you look at where the engineers lived, it's like a continuation of them. So either the xenomorph is an evolution of the engineers, or side by side, they're like the same species and they have the same agenda, which is humans suck, destroy the humans.
Well, in addition to that, we're seeing this hybridization. We also see this in Alien Resurrection with
Yes.
the newborn.
Yeah.
So this concept of a hybrid, which I mean, all of the aliens are hybrids of something. The Dogomorph is a hybrid.
Yep.
They're all hybrids. So to get your panties in a bunch about this hybrid because it came out of a pregnant female is crazy to me. But anyway, I digress. So Alien Romulus, we went and saw on opening day, and it was really, really good for me.
I thought it was phenomenal. I loved it.
Of course, we have some things that we would nitpick, but one of the most impactful moments for Mav is that it can cheer her up on almost any bad day.
She's trying to escape from the alien, and she's like, okay, they're kind of like on equal footing, but remember this thing is like 10 feet tall. And it's super powerful. And
it's got like this like acidic goo that it can get you with, and so she's trying to stay away.
It's just trying to stay away from it.
Because she just saw one of her friends die.
And she as she's climbing up, the alien's like, yoo-hoo, here I am. And she like realized, oh my God, this thing is a formidable foe. And does she fall down the thing? And she has to figure out how to I can't remember how she escapes that situation where it's like, yoo-hoo, here I am. But I do laugh every time the alien.
I think didn't it save her? It saved her.
It caught her.
It caught her. And then it brought her right up to it.
Yeah, it's because it's a hunter. It doesn't want an easy win. It wants a difficult win, and it saw her as a formidable foe. So I do think the alien and all of its little nuances is super cute. Anytime the alien does anything that is like that, it makes me laugh. In Aliens, the 1986 one, when Carter Burke is running away and he opens the door, the behavior of the alien makes you laugh because it's kind of like, gotcha, and you don't realize that at that point, we just think it's an animal is acting out of animal instinct, but it's not. It's actually thinking through, as we find out in Alien Earth. So I guess it's a good time to transition into collectibles and fan culture. I do want to talk about something really annoying that happened to me. I don't want it to turn into a whining rant, but I think this is an issue. So in March of 2026, Hot Toys, I'm just trying to be calm, announced, hey, we're going to release this, how do you say it,
1/3.
1/3 ratio.
1/3 ratio.
Yeah, 1/3 ratio. 1/3 ratio diorama and model of a xenomorph called the Scorched Xenomorph. And I was so excited. It had a $400 price tag. And I was like, you know what? That's okay. I'm there for it. I go to buy it, sold out. It's impossible. Just announced it. Impossible. So I wait 2 or 3 days. I call all of the dealers that I know. Oh, nope, sold out. No, you can't get it. Like this, 2 weeks later, the Scorched Xenomorph is everywhere. And it's no longer $400, it's $1,500. The cheapest I saw was $850. So what I could deduce from that was all these stores bought the pre-order Scorched Alien and then upsold it to collectors because they knew collectors would want it, which resulted in me not getting one. I do have a Scorched little one. It has not come to me yet. The 7-inch scale, you know, but I don't have the one that I wanted, which is, let's see, my hands go off the screen. It's so big, but I don't have that one, and I don't think that is a good thing for people to do, or distributors to do, because us fans, we wait for stuff like that, and it's hard because they don't make 50 million of them. But I just I'm trying to we as collectors, we're just trying to get things that are near and dear to our heart. We don't want the people that have the power to exploit the market and do things like that to us. It's unkind. The Xenomorph, I just want to reiterate this point because it was all over the internet. Oh my God, this little girl made it a pet. It's not a pet. It was never a pet. It doesn't act like a pet. Watch the show. It's not behaving as a pet. It's like, oh, robot, you can open that door. Okay, open that door for me. Oh, we're going here on this boat. Okay, let's go. You go ahead and get the boat so I will climb on it. I will follow you. She's not controlling it and telling it, here, Fido, fetch.
There does seem to be a bond between the two of them that doesn't exist anywhere else in the franchise. And we even question whether or not, like in the Alien movie and the derelict ship, and I think we see it also in Covenant, right?
Mhm.
No, Prometheus.
Whether
or not Wendy represents the big statue.
the Queen Mother that Geiger has.
But knowing that it's only 2 years prior to the Alien series and the derelict ship has been there for 200 years, it's not the case. But she could be like symbolically representing it to that xenomorph. And xenomorphs seem to be, for all intents and purposes, somewhat of a hive type creature.
Yeah.
So for that xenomorph, it may represent like Kalis is to in Star Trek to the Klingons. So
Yeah.
it represents something that's like passed down from xenomorph to xenomorph. So there, I don't know. That's a theory that we had tossed around before, that Wendy is representing something important to that xenomorph, which is why they're kind of a little bit bonded. Another thing that we know is that Wendy is a robot, even though she doesn't look or act like one.
She is a
And
robot.
historically, xenomorphs do not respond to robots. In fact, the only robot that really was jacked up in this franchise is the robot in Prometheus, who's torn to shreds by an engineer.
That is David.
Yeah,
David.
while the other xenomorphs just tend to ignore the robots.
Yeah.
Am I wrong? Is there
the creatures, the xenomorphs and the creatures in Alien Earth tend to ignore the robots unless the robots are in their way. Like the guy that had the tray of the food, they didn't necessarily attack the synthetic, but he's walking into the little cave where they're at. He asks the food that they want, and they swoop down and they end up killing him as well because he's made out of metal. And once they find out he's made out of metal, they continue to eat him, right? But if he had have just slipped the food in, he's a synthetic.
No, this is Alien Earth.
Yeah,
right?
Alien Earth.
Yeah, and then also Cole, for instance, is what we think Cole is a Prodigy Corp alien because Cole looks and acted like we didn't even know she was a robot until she started bleeding white.
Yeah,
but the alien was just swimming on by Cole. He didn't bother
He
her.
didn't bother Cole at all. So like the xenomorph doesn't care for robots, and that's another thing that people need to like really think about when they're watching it. Well, why didn't it kill the kids? Because those aren't kids; those are robots.
Yeah,
And Nibs is a robot. Wendy is a robot. They're all robots.
Again, so in the fact that Wendy is the first thing to be able to communicate with the xenomorph ever in all of the history of the Alien franchise ever. Of course, the alien would be like, "Huh?
Yeah,
like, you know what I'm saying?
You're talking to me."
Yeah, and the fact that it's amazing to me that aliens can speak innately. It's an innate knowledge that they have. So going back to that perfect organism, aliens in their DNA and instinctually they can communicate. So in the line of merchandise, since we were just talking about merchandise, we wanted to show, as usual, we have a little segment about merchandise we have.
Yeah. So like I said in the segment, I was not able to get the Scorched Xenomorph. I also don't have the 7-inch Scorched Xenomorph to show you, but I do have
It's
some,
in the mail, supposedly.
I do have some merchandise to show you that I did receive. The first item we have is the Alien Romulus Ultimate Xenomorph XX121. What's important about this particular bit of merchandise is the box. So I know it's silly because you're like, no, the Xenomorph, but no, it's the box. This is the Fede Alvarez cover for Alien Romulus. And this particular Xenomorph is not sold in this box anymore. You can buy it. It's in a regular action figure box. So you want to have this box. This is the collectible. And it's not super expensive. It runs between $39 and $45. So it is a must have if you're a Xeno collector. Next we have,
What do you want next?
next we have an item that when it came out, it was all over the internet in these ads, and I was thinking, what is this? I already have this particular product. Why are they trying to shop it again? But it is actually an expanded version of a product that they already have. It is the core rulebook for the Alien roleplay game, and it has a lot of new features. It has a lot of new weapons, new boards, new levels, new adventures. It's a must-have if you enjoy playing this game. It can be played solo, which is really, really cool. If you're a solo player, it can be played solo. And so this is a nice little addition from Free League Publishing. It is, again, the Evolved Edition, the expanded version of the core rulebook. And then we also have, from Free League again, the Rapture Protocol. So this one is an expansion pack, so to say. It has a scenario book, more maps, it has 5 pre-generated characters to choose from, playing cards. It has tokens and handouts, and so it's just a good addition. I know most of you are probably like me, and you have the little figures and the stress dice and regular dice, but still, it's always good to get like expanded editions. So
Yeah, we haven't opened it yet because we just got it today. So
yeah, it's a great.
Actually, we got it in March.
Yeah.
But we just opened the package today.
Right.
All right. And the next item.
All right. Let's see if I can get the fat boy out. All right. So the next item is kind of cool. It is a miniature poster of Fede Alvarez's Alien Romulus.
Is it?
No. There we go. You see that? That is awesome. This is also the shirt I am wearing today. This is a really cool poster.
Yeah, it's
It's
like
really
a cool kind of canvas paper.
Canvas material. If you don't know this scene, this is a really cool scene where Navarro is in the Renaissance and they're looking at these like little face huggers that are crawling around, and they're shutting the door, and the face hugger jumps and is flying through the air and just latches onto her head, and that is the cover for Alien Romulus. That scene, because that scene was so badass, because that face hugger was like, I'm getting somebody's face today. So
Yeah,
that's why that scene is cool.
We also have more merchandise that we got with the intention of sharing it for this year. There's some t-shirts, a couple of silly mugs.
So let's show some of these. This was from TeePublic. I love TeePublic for their t-shirts. These shirts are from TeePublic. We're not being paid by TeePublic. I just shop them because I can get all my fandom stuff. If you like coffee, I don't know the durability of the
Yeah, some of the mugs that we get from some of the create your own mug, when we put it in the microwave, the handle also heats up, and some of the mugs, the handle doesn't heat up. So we don't know. This is a roll of the dice. We don't know which ones this is gonna be.
This hat is also from TeePublic. It is Weyland Yutani Corp. Built Better Worlds.
We have a spoon.
So this one is a sort of a knockoff of one of the mugs that has the Xenomorph on it with the little tail. It's the dual Xenomorph or
Xenomorph fish.
Xenomorphish. Yeah, it's a tail. I don't know what's going
It's like a seahorse.
It's a seahorse. Well, it has a leg. It has a leg on the
No,
side.
this one right here.
But this one, I don't know. Maybe it's a swimmy one. I'm not sure what this is, but yeah.
They sent us a spoon.
Add a
too.
spoon with it. It's supposed to be for hot stuff, but I just don't think the hot stuff's gonna make it in there. I don't know.
Well, the bigger thing is like, how do you drink it?
Yeah.
Although I have a Dr. Who cup you gave me that is almost impossible to drink. Yeah, and then the t-shirts.
Sure.
All right, so there's this shirt.
So there is the Fede Alvarez shirt, where the facehugger got Navarro's face, and there's the Prodigy Corp, shirt. And we have a couple more show.
Her brother laughed at her.
Yes.
I think he's wrong because I think this is a damn cool shirt.
So my brother laughed because the cartoon drawing of Vasquez is not the best. If you look at her glasses, it says anytime, anywhere, which is harkening back to, all I need to know is where they are. And so I can't say the joke that Hudson said, but
yeah, it said all sorts of cuss words.
It's not because it's cuss words. It's a racial.
Oh, race.
Yeah. So, but then she says her anytime, anywhere after that.
And then,
of course, we have to honor Amanda Ripley. I apologize for it not being exactly like the video game, but it is still a cool shirt.
yes, two people who will watch this eventually probably don't care.
Well, just my luck, it'll go viral and everybody will watch it. They'll say, God, ever your age is showing because you forget all the names of the people. But I mean, since I was 9 years old, been watching, the series, and you gotta give me some credit for like hanging in there.
Well, that's our merchandise. We have a couple of other alien figures, like I said, in the storage. We have a turbo lift, the loader in the storage. What else do we have there that we got? 'Cause, like last Christmas, there's like a bounty of alien stuff. So
yeah, so it is lost to the storage for moving.
So, all right, yeah. So we'll move on to the next segment now. Given all of this, what do you think the future of the Alien franchise is?
So I think that with Alien Earth introducing cognition in the alien, and Alien Isolation 2 maybe showing intelligence and adaptability as shot out of the airlock, it somehow survived and went down potentially to a planet. And then you have Romulus showing lineage and heritage from Big Chap, who's hanging in the experimental room, the med room, and with all the little face huggers everywhere. That the franchise is changing from run from the xenomorph and hide, and oh my God, it's a survival movie, to something more inviting, something more changing the lore to a mythology. I don't know where it's gonna go, but it is changing the lore to something that's not just horror, not just like the alien running. They want you to know something about this whole process that has happened for years, years and years and years and years and years of the corporations trying to get this alien to weaponize it. And so I think it's trying to help us to understand something that's really hard to comprehend. And we may never get it. They may make 30 or 40 of these series, but we'll enjoy each and every last one of them because they can hold their own. Each story holds their own. And they're great stories, and they're not overly political. They're not. You sit down, you fasten your seatbelt, and you enjoy that ride, and it's a fun ride most of the time. And I think the xenomorph will always be a terrifying figure. One of the things that just before we go, that I wanted to hearken to, I wanted to get a clip of it. It's nowhere to be found online, but it is my favorite scene of all the franchises. Every single Aliens has ever been made, this is my favorite scene. And there's a scene where these people are on alien Earth. They're in this tower, and they're dressed as like nobles, and all these wealthy people. They're like, oh, if Boyd Cavalier wanted us to leave, he would have called us because we're on the same level. And the xenomorph is off to the right, pretending to be a statue. And then it kind of looks at turns and looks at the people. And so Hermit is like, oh, we better run away, And so Hermit runs into the place where the people are at, and the xenomorph comes in and literally like hop, 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 hop. So he is like the people are hiding. He is tired of he's killed so many of them. And one of the rich guys is like trying to crawl away. The xenomorph jumps off of this balcony, spins, no reason to spin. There's literally no reason to spin. Spins in the air and then lands on top of the rich person and finishes the rich person off. And that scene is called Eat the Rich. I laughed at that and laughed at that and laughed at that. It was such an unnecessary scene, but it was funny. It was just a room full of people that just, even though people were warning them, this is gonna sound familiar. Even though people are like, "Hey, this is a dangerous thing. We better not like stick around and hang out with it." They didn't listen, and it ate the rich. And so, anyway, that is my favorite scene. I want to share that. And the xenomorph will always be terrifying. It is nobody's pet. And yeah.
So this is a Mind Over Media Alien Day special. If you made it this far, then you're one of us. That's what it says on the script.
Stay curious, stay critical, and remember, in space, no one can hear you scream.